Good evening and welcome to Thursday's edition of the State of Scottish Football. I'm Greg Playfair. Apologies for being a bit later than billed, but I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. It's a very East Coast lineup tonight, and I'm joined by two notorious Biggie Dons fans. First up, we have a young man who I'm guessing has not listened to much, if any, 90s hip hop, but would be happy to run the Pittodrie pitch and get a selfie with Joe Hart. It's Kobe Henderson.
Well, not at all, but I back myself in the 90s hip hop field, to be fair, but don't know if I'd run on the pitch.
No, again, as a disclaimer, it was not Kobe that ran on the pitch last night. Before the rumour mill starts going. And completing a trio tonight is a man who I'm guessing gets asked for a lot of selfies on the basis he's a blue tick verified baller. It's Robbie Hanratty.
Good to be here, Greg. Love the intro, as always.
Oh, you're very welcome. As always, we're live on all the various platforms, so please do get involved by commenting, and we'll do our best to respond and react throughout the next hour to your well-natured banter. Of course, please keep it clean. Tonight, we'll be bringing you a roundup of the 6 Premiership fixtures from last night's untelevised games. Could be a talking point. Yeah. Of course, I'm acutely aware of a lot of the Celtic supporters wanting us to dissect the 3-2 win up in the Granite City. Great for a Celtic persuasion, but first, I'm going to set up the stage. We're going to have a bit of a battle between Kobe and Robbie to see who can let off the most steam with All Matters Aberdeen. Robbie, I'll come to you first. Almost 24 hours after that result, how are you feeling after a rollercoaster of a performance?
How I'm feeling is, why can Aberdeen only turn up once we're a goal or two behind against the Old Firm? It really annoys me because we've run Rangers close this season. We've drawn twice, but we haven't lost against Rangers. And then that's 3 games against Celtic this season that we've lost by just a goal. And you're giving yourself too much of a mountain to climb when you're going 2-0 down at half time. Then you're suddenly getting yourself into the game and pressing high. So before we dissect it a bit more, 24 hours ago, almost, I was fuming at half-time, wanted glass out, etc., etc. Now, I don't know if I'm clinging on to false hope at the moment. I don't know what Kobe would say here, but I can see what they're trying to do, and especially in the second half. If we could do that, it would be amazing, but just gave himself too much of a work to do, and losing another game, going down to 9th in the league, it's not good enough, really, is it?
No, Kobe, he's dropped the mic. Are you going to go on a rant? Are you going to be a bit more optimistic, or are you quite balanced as Robbie there?
I think I'd take a similar view. Going into a game against Celtic, for me especially, going into this one with the form we were in, the form Celtic were in as well, I wasn't expecting us to do anything. But as Robbie said, half time, you're 2 goals down. It wasn't even a good performance. We never laid that glove in Celtic attacking. We never done much attacking, if anything at all. But I think that instead of saying maybe going for it, I think the change in shape, I think Ramsey came off, Kennedy came on. I think that helped, and I would go with that team that finished the game against Motherwell because they've done a lot better. The Calvin Ramsey's obviously someone who throughout the season so far has done so well, but recently he's been poor. But if you're looking to go into it deeper, I think with Joe Lewis, you could maybe say, was it the first or second goal where Woods, he should be doing better. I think with Lewis that maybe doesn't, but as Robbie mentioned, playing Celtic this season and losing by a goal each time, it's frustrating. And as again also said, you're giving yourself a mountain climb now with decisions not going our way. Obviously, it's frustrating, but again, by the time you're 2-0 down, you're thinking game's gone. We do get ourselves back into it. However, then it's kind of too late. But then, as I said, we go back to 2-2, and then that third goal kind of, it deflated us because then we kind of fell out of the game after that.
I think it was fairly measured compared to halftime in the group chat on the performance. We'll take that. Celtic supporters, if you're watching, obviously please comment in terms of your thoughts on the game. We'll do our best to read it out. But obviously Celtic took the lead. Obviously it was Jota again, very very impressive again last night. When he's going to talk us through the Celtic opener.
Yeah, I'll go first. What I think Yorka, fair play to him. He gambled at the back post. I don't know the exact ins and outs of who crossed it, but he gambled at the back post. And Gary Woods, as Kobe mentioned, he has to do better. I know he's been understudy to Joe Lewis. He has, at the start of the season, had a few games when Lewis was having a bad spell, but Ramsey, I've seen be blamed for it, but a goalkeeper has got to come out and command your box. That's what you've got to do. You've got to clear whoever is there out the way and command it, even punch the ball away. And the fact that he didn't was a concern. But Yorka, it just shows the type of player he is. A goal scorer, and he's there at the back post, ready to pounce and open the scoring. And what I said on Daily Record live blog was it's so important for Aberdeen to not concede the first goal and get through that first 20 minutes or so. And it was just a kind of comical goal to concede. That opener, and the Celtic fans will be pleased, but I think it was a bit fortuitous in terms of, I don't think Celtic had to play amazing to get that opener. Aberdeen kind of just stood off them, ball goes in, keeper misses it, and Yotta's there.
Yeah, I think obviously the way in which you said Aberdeen had started, and on the radio, I've seen, thought it was going to be a back four, but was it more a back three, Kobe, last night that Aberdeen started with?
Yeah, we switched up. Declan Gallagher, who has kind of been, an outcast really since I think the Wraith Rovers game, where he's not really played that well since he's joined Aberdeen, obviously from Motherwell, but he done really well last night. I thought kind of the whole back line, especially the second half, obviously done well. I think it was more a back five we went with, obviously with him, McCrory, Bates, and then obviously Ramsey and Hayes, I think were kind of the full-backs, but then it obviously switched to the second half to maybe cater more attackingly, where I think McCrory was more right back. But no, look, I think it was more that, and that makes it all more frustrating, because you're thinking, when we play Celtic fans always say Pittodrie, it's a hard place to go, we make it difficult, and then we've gifted them that, what was a very easy goal for Jota, who's, he's been on form all season. He scored against us in the last game at Pittodrie. I thought we know his quality is a bit better to maybe defend a bit better against him, and we never done that. Woods, should have done a lot better. He kind of got, he was thinking of it, and then he wasn't really coming for it, and then he kind of backed out and pulled out of it. And by that point, it's too late, because Jota pounced, and yeah, it was a straight goal to give away, especially that early on in the game. I think it was only 10, 12 minutes maybe. Before we're 1-0 down. As I said, you want to make it hard for teams like Rangers, Celtic, and we never done so. Especially as you said, with us playing kind of the back five with the three centre backs. You'd have thought we'd have made it a bit more tricky, but it never really done that.
Yeah, I said in last night's show as well that Aberdeen had the worst clean sheet record going into the game. I think it was only 4 clean sheets from now 26 games. Obviously, it doesn't help with the second goal, Robbie, that the goal comes off a deflection off Bates. What was your take on the goal?
I said the first goal was comical. Sitting there, well, I was working, but I'm watching kind of as an Aberdeen fan as well, and I'm thinking to myself, here we go again, because Celtic, yes, Matt O'Reilly, the space Celtic players got in the build-up to that goal wasn't ideal from an Aberdeen perspective. They stood off him a bit too much, found the space to shoot, which often happens against the old firm at Pittodrie. Kent scored similar goal to that, and basically O'Reilly gets space to shoot, and it's unfortunate for it to hit Bates, but in wrong foot Woods, and I've seen folk blame Woods for that as well, but he's wrong footed. You can't really do much with that sort of thing when you think it's going to go in one corner and goes in the other. But it just summed up really Aberdeen's, you could say, luck at the start, but to be honest, they didn't deserve, it was unfortunate to be 2 down, but didn't deserve any more than that at that point, because it took to the 37th minute to have a shot at Joe Hart's goal. So it was really one-way traffic, and I don't know what Kobe thought of that, like Matt O'Reilly's goal. Do you think Bates is just unfortunate? Was anything he could have really done there?
I thought he could have I think you mentioned he could have got out to him a bit quicker. Obviously, from where I'm in the Merkland, it's with my vision as well. It's hard to see all the way over there, but no, it looked like when I've seen it back, he could have got out a bit quicker. But as you said, Woods, he's caught off guard at that point. But I think throughout the game, the frustrating thing was, under McInnes or whatever, we always kind of, we were very compact the space we gave Celtic, and I know we've run them close this season, especially. We did in this game as well, kind of to the end. But it's such a poor goal to give away. As I said, just the space he had and the time he had, and you said the Old Firm, but as in shooting from that range. But I think you could even stretch that. So I think St Mirren's goals against us, Dundee United's goals against us, they've all came from that kind of, they've all came from that kind of second ball, outside the box where players don't have enough time. I'm trying to think Ross County's as well. All these teams seems to be the same goal with us just not getting out in time. The one Ramsey, I can't remember, was it the Ross County game? I don't know. Ramsey was getting stick for not long ago. Yeah, for not getting out to his man. Yeah, he wasn't getting out to his man quick enough, and we conceded from it. And it's the same again. We've not got out quick enough. Obviously, it's unlucky that it's taken a deflection. I think Woods should have. I hoped he'd have had it quite comfortable. If it never took that deflection, however, it did, and then you find yourself 2-0 down. So I think that wasn't 15 minutes, because I remember constantly looking over the little clock in the corner, seeing how long we've survived. But
no, we've got a comment in from Joe Potter on this saying Bates would have stopped the goal if it wasn't Bates. So any other defender. What I would say is being like a bit of a rap battle between you both dropping the Old Firms disc here, Old Firm. Again, you have a lot of. I'm surprised there's no comments yet saying there is an Old Firm. It's the Glasgow Derby, the Glasgow 2, or the Celtic and the other mob. But at half time, obviously, I'd imagine most Aberdeen supporters weren't happy. Neither was Stephen Glass and Ramsey, as you said. Kobe and Dylan McGee came off at half time to be replaced by Funzu Ojo, and a player who apparently still plays for Aberdeen that you always forget is Matty Kennedy, and obviously that kind of sort of paid dividends because there was 2 goals and a similar time frame at the second half. And Robbie, were you pleased with Ramirez getting on? I think Ramirez scored the first goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, just before I go on to that first goal to get Aberdeen back in the game, that half-time substitution of Ojo and Kennedy, at the time I'm thinking Ojo's been in a real poor run of form, and Kennedy, he hasn't played in about a season and a half, so you're not sure what to expect. But I must say, Kennedy put in one hell of a performance, and Ojo got 2 assists, so it just shows that boldness from Glass really worked. And that goal back from Ramirez around about the 60th minute, I think what happened was, it was one off the training ground. They just really caught Celtic's defence off guard, and I think this happened against Wiedeblick, or one of the Europa League games at the start of the season as well. The exact same goal of Ramirez gets picked out at the 6-yard box, and we all know he's a Adam Rooney type clinical finisher in the box, and got that chance and buried it past Hart, and that was the first real chance the Dons had, and that gave them a lot of spirit. In, as we see, they scored another goal from a set piece so soon after.
Yeah, we'll get to that, Kobe. So 2-1. Suppose there's a bit of buoyancy back in Aberdeen support, and then when that second goal went in, what was your take on that? Were you a bit more optimistic after the goal went in from Ferguson?
Well, I don't know if you the offside one.
Was that after you?
I was down about 3 rows. Yeah, when the offside one went in, but yeah, when the offside goals ruled out originally, there's a whole the initial disappointment, thinking, oh, that's the chance, and then the kind of come on, everyone, we're still in it. There's still plenty of time to go get the goal. And Ferguson, who he loves a goal against Celtic, he scored against them at Parkhead, scored against them earlier in the season at Pittodrie, and a header as well. I would have said Joe Hart could have maybe done better. I don't know. I think, wasn't it right at him from the way I saw it? I don't know. I could be wrong, but I thought he could have maybe done better. But yeah, I mean, bloody hell, Alan Russell's set piece, Aberdeen back again. You're right with the Wiedeblick, but it was one from the training ground, and you're back in it 2-2. Look, anything could have happened. You're just thinking, hold off a bit longer, and obviously it wasn't the case. But yeah, we were all rejuvenated, or whatever the word is, like when that second goal went in, and yeah. It was unfortunate, obviously, what followed. But yeah, when that second went in, we were all buzzing, to be fair. And we did have kind of the spirit that, all right, come on, we can maybe go do this. It is such an improved second half performance, and you never no one knew what could have happened, but yeah, it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, there's optimism for Aberdeen at 2-2, but then I think what you find when you play Celtic or Rangers or the big Glasgow 2 is that these teams have players that can turn a match in a moment, in these clutch moments, and it was Jota again that got what proved to be the winner for Celtic. Robbie, at that point, you're thinking, "Oh God, there it goes. The game's over."
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. As much as I think that was as much as I knew Aberdeen could do. Getting 2 goals back at half time seemed impossible against Celtic, considering how formidable Celtic have been in recent weeks, winning the Old Firm and then putting a lot of goals past Motherwell at the weekend as well. I thought there's no chance. I thought it could be a hammering at half time. So to get back to 2-2 was fantastic. But what happens? It goes up the other end, and I know there's talk of Abada being offside, Bates being blocked off and everything, but to not hold a lead for a matter of seconds was really disappointing, and it reminded me of what happened in the 2017 Scottish Cup final when Aberdeen, I think, took the lead, and then Celtic, I went to the toilet and then came back down the stairs and Celtic had equalised, so within like less than a minute, and that's what Stephen Glass would have really hoped for. If you're getting an equaliser, you're back in the game, you can even tweak the tactics then because it's a sort of different game. You'd be happy enough with a point as such. But for Celtic to go play the ball over the top as such, the ball bounces and no one deals with it, and Jota doing what he does best, scoring goals against Aberdeen. I thought Kevin Van Veen liked to goal against Aberdeen, but that's Jota scored 4 goals, I think, against Aberdeen this season. So a player that, as an Aberdeen fan, you don't like to see playing against your club.
Yeah, he's been good. I see it against Hearts as well. When he I think he's put Michael Smith into hibernation. It seems to be after his performance in that first half. I'll go to some of the comments here. We've got Kane Breatonsell, champions elect, and we've got Scott Howe. A great game, massive 3 points, mark of champions. You've seen both Celtic and Rangers recently. I was going to ask over the last month and a bit, has kind of impressed you most? Top of yourself, Kobe, who do you think? Were you more impressed with Celtic last night, or were you more impressed with Rangers when you played them? Or
Celtic. Celtic without a doubt. I'll say Rangers this season. We've always came out that game feeling we've been unlucky, and we've always came out that game feeling hard done by. In the Celtic games this season, maybe the Pittodrie one, but even then, I think Celtic, probably only deserved a point. Whereas the Rangers games, I felt anyway that we've came out deserving all 3 points. At Ibrox, which again is a big statement, and at Pittodrie, I think we've been unlucky. So definitely Celtic. The way that when we got that goal back, they went and just straight away. Obviously, I think it is dealt with. If obviously Bates isn't, I think he was obstructed by Abada, who obviously was offside, but. I've not felt when we've played Rangers that they'll go up the other end and after we've got a goal back saying and then they'll go and score. So obviously the 2-2 games, so I'll maybe contradict myself, but especially the one at Pittodrie. I definitely say Celtic. I think they're right now the on-form team, and it showed in the derby.
yeah, Robbie, you were saying as well, Celtic have impressed you most the last 2 visits to Pittodrie from Rangers and Celtic.
Yeah, not just saying this to become a fan's favourite with the viewership, but I would say what the game changer has been signing Maeda and Hatate in the January transfer window. I think Celtic's recruitment has just been really good. From Ange basically having to build a whole new team in the summer, he's done that. The turnaround's been fantastic, considering where they were at the start of December, behind Rangers in the title race, and winning the Old Firm, and the way they're scoring goals with fun. There is always a criticism you could say that since Christmas, since the break, that Celtic have aggregate score in the first half is something remarkable. I haven't conceded a goal. The second half hasn't been as formidable in terms of putting teams to bed, but I guess you could say they've done that in the first half. But for me, Celtic, they've just got quality all over the pitch, and you look at the bench last night, when you can put Tom Rogic and James Forrest on as a sub, that says a lot. And I know Rangers signed Aaron Ramsey and people like that, but I just don't know how he'll settle into the Scottish game. So I've got to say, I'm putting my money on Celtic winning this title.
Yeah.
I mean, quickly, Robbie doing his this year, but no, I'd agree. I think when, in the games, Celtic looked a lot more dangerous. Ryan Kent at Pittodrie, you've seen the clip of him trying step overs and failing, but I felt every time Celtic were in the final third that we could have conceded, whereas with Rangers, I felt that bit comfortable. I don't know if it's obviously, Van Bronckhorst's first time at Pittodrie, but I just felt they were the more dangerous of teams.
Yeah, I think you would say about the bench as well. We said on last night's show that the strength and depth, as you're saying, you've got even guys like Scott Bain, there's a Scotland international goalkeeper. You know what I mean? And you've got McCarthy as well, who's played in the Premier League. Irish doesn't even get on the pitch last night. Scales as well, who a lot of Celtic supporters have said is impressed when he's played at left back. So it's a really, really formidable side. And Joe Porter's came in.
Yesterday either.
Yeah. Kind of shows you they've got Scottish international call up as well. Tony Ralston as well, kind of playing there, which is again, we can talk about the Scotland national team when the games come up, but a lot of competition in those full-back positions. Joe Porter saying here on the comments, for pure football and entertainment, Celtic are the best in Scotland and one of the best in the UK. So, having seen Celtic obviously at close quarters as well recently, I would have to agree. In terms of goals scored, they are the highest goal scorers in the league with 57, and have also got the best defence. So that may prove crucial come the end of the season. We'll move on from Celtic and we'll go to their, I suppose, title rivals at Ibrox, where it finished Rangers 2, Hibs 0. Probably the most famous tweet or the most used GIF in all social media these days is penalty Rangers, and we've seen that after 4 minutes. Again, having watched the challenge from McGinn, again, I'll come to both. Do you feel penalty was justified, or?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Yes, well, in my opinion, what are you expecting when it's at Ibrox? You just expect a penalty now for the opposition. Well, for Rangers, and that was less than 5 minutes into the game, and when that happened, it kind of sets a tone for the game ahead, because Hibs would have been worried. They haven't won a game under Sean Maloney since the Cove game in the Cup, and that was when they still struggled to get through. So goals have been hard to come by, wins have been hard to come by for Hibs. So to concede a penalty so early on, what was it, Paul McGinn, the next challenge, and I probably do see why it was given, but it's soft in my opinion. But I would rather hold back my views on referees and Ibrox, to be honest. I'll let Colby speak about that.
I'll be honest. I thought it was an obvious pen. To be honest with you, I thought McGinn got the wrong side of Kent. He's kind of I don't see him getting the ball. I think I saw Rangers fans. I was on Twitter obviously after the game, and Rangers fans, a few were saying he got a touch of the ball. I don't know. I don't think he did, but yeah, I think obviously the whole pen to Rangers thing, and it is early on in the game, but I feel it was a pen. I think he's caught out there McGinn, and I don't know. You kind of try to wipe them out and mistimed it, in my opinion, Greg. I don't know what you're thinking on it, but
yeah, I managed to see that game before I fell asleep watching sports here last night, but that was a penalty for me. I think if it's for my team, or if you're watching it as a neutral, you think it's a penalty. And I know a lot gets said around Celtic and Rangers as a non-Glasgow 2 supporter. They do seem to get more penalties. It's because they're in Europe, they're in the final third more often than not. So for me, it was a penalty. I did say on the show last night that I thought that the team lineup that Sean Maloney put out was inviting pressure. I'd said 7 defenders, and I know Craig was kind of texting afterwards saying that no, it's only 5. When you consider Demi Mitchell and Cadden they're further forward, but yeah, I thought it was a very sort of defensive sort of looking performance. So to have heard it was a penalty after 5 minutes, I thought, well, he has set the team up to sort of defend a bit. But obviously that didn't help matters for Hibs, because obviously later on the second half, Morelos scored the second. More of a sort of routine 2-0 win, and possibly. I don't think it was the most surprising result of the night. We're still to get to that, and I'll jump on the soapbox and may tackle that scoreline. But Robbie, any other thoughts on the game in terms of the Rangers Hibs game, in terms of the match itself?
Well, I thought fair play to Morelos. Like Macy was back in goal for Hibs, and he's a very good goalkeeper. But Morelos has finished for the second goal. It's in right hand side. I know it's a Macy's near post, but the power he puts on it to get past the keeper was really impressive. And I know, speaking of the penalty, you're saying you fell and watched the seat before you fell asleep. I was watching Sports Scene half asleep, so I probably was going by a biased Aberdeen view with the penalty. But I know I did say to myself at the time, Tavernier was straight down the middle. He put the pen and waited for keeper to move. And I think his pen reckon, I know he gets stick because he's Rangers captain a lot, but they're reliable at both ends, scoring goals and defensively. And I noticed in that game, even in the build-up to Morelos' goal, Tavernier pushing forward, strong, seeing off like players. And it's good to have a player that'll do that, like a fullback. Me and Kobe see that with Calvin Ramsey sometimes. He's very raw and young, he'll improve. But Tavernier, I don't sometimes see the stick that like Rangers fans give him from watching the highlights, especially.
He's a top assist in the league with 11 assists last night for his one for Morelos, takes him up to 11. So really big impact there. I know it's been said on the show as well, he's not very vocal, but Tavernier is a player, someone you admire, Kobe, or someone that you kind of wish that Aberdeen had. He's not obviously Calvin Ramsey, but
yeah, he's a player that, when he scored a lot against us, obviously, from the spot, and I don't really admire him as such. I don't admire any Rangers player, but no, he's a good player for them. But I think, it was a cool penalty, as Robbie said, straight down the middle. But I feel at times, speaking to a few Rangers fans, our mates, obviously, I don't watch them every week, obviously, Aberdeen player at times. So from what I hear is he's not overly great defensively, but I thought watching the Glasgow derby, I thought it was Barisic that was, maybe a bit more poor defensively. So I don't know in that sense. Obviously his numbers look very good going forward. So obviously last season as well, when all we could watch was highlights and his free kick. So I think he's obviously a very good player, Rangers captain. He has been for numerous years. So but I think. I was almost surprised. I know you mentioned Hibs that they never went with. Is it Dabrowski, the keeper?
Yeah,
I thought they might have went with him because obviously his interview after the Hearts game, and it wasn't just that. He put in a really good performance. Obviously, Greg, you obviously saw him against Hearts, but I thought Macy. I don't see it at times with him this season. I don't really rate him as much as a few people do, but I don't know if they would have went with him. I was maybe a bit shocked. Well, I don't know. I'm not too sure if I was shocked.
I think to back you up there, I think Maloney's went with experience there in terms of the keeper. Obviously they've lost at the weekend, and I don't think Dabrowski was, you could say, kind of at fault for the submitting goals at the weekend there. Kind of obvious errors, but he's went with a more experienced player. But I know Hibs supporters, obviously we've got a couple involved with the state of Scottish football that are not Matt Macy fans. Dabrowski as well is almost like a youth academy prospect. I think he came through from the age of about 17, 18 as well. He's now 23, so I know there's affinity with Hibs supporters and him. But Hibs were poor. Obviously, we've got some comments from people saying MPH, Hibs looked poor last night. And Neil the Punk, apologies, as he said, Sean Maloney wishes he was back in Brussels. And Joe Porter has also said Maloney will be sacked by this point next season.
Can I say something on that point, actually? I was going to bring up on the show. There's a lot of talk about Saturday's game for Aberdeen against Motherwell in the Cup being like make or break for Stephen Glass. And it's funny that the two managerial candidates that Dave Coymack apparently interviewed / had shortlisted were Stephen Glass and Sean Maloney. And I was very keen on getting Sean Maloney as well, giving you worked under Roberto Martinez, Belgium. But it just hasn't seemed to have worked out for Sean Maloney. And even we're still seeing Scott Allen on that bench. Players, like I've said this before, that on paper I think Hibs have got a good squad, but I don't know why they signed James Scott again, because it didn't work out the first time and then didn't even get on. against Rangers. So it's just some things that Sean Maloney's got to work out, or as the comments say, he might not have a job and we want to go back to Brussels.
Kobe, obviously Hibs weren't that impressive again last night. They've not won in 2022 in terms of league duty. Will Sean Maloney feel pressure going into the banana skin up at Gayfield in the Scottish Cup at the weekend?
He definitely will. I think it helps us that they're also doing so bad, and it's such a tight, position from where we are in ninth into where they are. I think there's 4 points from us and the Europe, is it, or fourth place with a game in hand. So it's so tight, and he definitely will feel the pressure. He'll be wanting to go out and with a big win after the last round against Cove, where at Easter Road they struggled, and it's not going to be easy. And I think it'll be a harder game than the Cove game. Obviously, Arbroath have done much better than Cove. The league between them, Arbroath obviously top of the championship, and at Gayfield as well, which I don't know what the conditions are looking like, but it won't be an easy game. I wouldn't have thought so. No, he definitely will feel the pressure if they lose it, because maybe likewise with us, if we lose Motherwell, as Robbie said, it's kind of season, it's kind of curtains, because they'll be out of every competition. I mean, maybe they're doing a bit better in the league than us, but there's still not much in it, so it's going to be tight. So yeah, he definitely will be, and so tight. And I was also quite kind of an advocate for maybe Sean Maloney ahead of Glass, but I think with maybe giving Glass a bit more time, obviously he's had over the time, he's changing styles from what was a very defensive Aberdeen team to whatever Glass wants to go attacking or whatnot. So I think Hibs were maybe more attacking than us anyway. So yeah, he definitely will be feeling the pressure, that's for sure. But will Hibs want? Obviously, they'll be paying off Jack Ross. I don't know if they'll want to pay him off or if they'll stick by it, because it's a tough job as a manager now. In today's day and age, you don't get much time. I think Glass has maybe been one of the anomalies to that rule, but because I think if he was in any other job, he would have been sacked.
What I would say just on Sean Maloney, I think he's been well backed. Looking at it, obviously there's Elias Melkerson, 350,000, Norwegian 19-year-old who's played in the second tier. I know he's in from Celtic's opponents in Europa League next week, Boulder Glimp, but he's been signed and he's been nowhere near quoted in terms of wasn't even involved in the squad last night. They signed another Norwegian as well, who I believe for a six-figure salary. They'd signed Dylan Tate from Rafe Rovers. Obviously started the summer window, loaned him back out to Kilmarnock along with the other winger they signed as well from Inverness. So they are paying for players, but obviously those players last night wouldn't have enjoyed it. Derek McInnes as well, Kyle Lafferty, the favourites of some of the Celtic viewership, getting beat by United. Seen a comment there.
Dean Campbell was. I was reading the Twitter comments from Kelly fans. Dean Campbell was getting slated the most, saying he looked out of place and everything. And that's a player that means Kobe, being a homegrown player, I've always wanted to do well, but it shows linking up with his old buddy Derek McInnes. It's not working out so far.
I don't even know that, to be honest. I never saw the action, but that's not good.
I mean, yeah. So obviously Derek McInnes has been backed at Kilmarnock, you would say, in terms of getting players in and money, and same with Sean Maloney. And I'm just curious as to what's going to happen. I think I've said probably on the show as well that it kind of gives me a bit of Ian Cathro vibe, right? And I said last night as well that for a club the size of Hibs, Sean Maloney, or even Aberdeen, Stephen Glass, they should not be where these managers learn their trade. I think we've seen a few of the posters here, a few of our panellists are Man United fans. I think you're as well, Robbie. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I know he probably had a bit more experience, but even then, you need to be kind of experienced for the level of the jobs. And both Maloney and Glass, I'm a bit worried. You could say as well, Maloney has brought in Gary Caldwell, a well-kent face in Scottish football, but he didn't do well. He got chased out of Wigan, Chesterfield, who are now not in the Football League anymore in England, and Partick Thistle, where he made one of his players cry after doing Army SOS training. So, yeah, I don't think having that. And then, as I said as well, when you're getting, an 8-year-old Pat Stanton to lead your pre-match talk for an Edinburgh derby, yeah, I'm not convinced it's Sean Maloney. I mean, I don't know. Do you think? We'll kind of open the question to you both in terms of Stephen Glass and Sean Maloney. Can they both turn it round? Robbie, coming you first in terms of either one of them. Can you see
Well,
turning it around?
I've been telling myself this for a long time now with Stephen Glass. We lost 3-0 to Dundee United in the Scottish Cup last season when Glass came in, and everyone was furious, and everyone said, okay, give him a bit of time. We had a Raith Rovers debacle, we've had a Dundee defeat. As Kobe says, Dave Coymick's been very generous to him. He's been well backed and hasn't delivered. And same with Sean Maloney. I think Dave Coymick especially, he's going to give Stephen Glass time. There's a lot of people saying, sack him. He won't sack his man. I'll eat my words if he does, but until after the Alex Ferguson day on the 26th against Dundee United, I don't think he would sack Stephen Glass no matter the result. And I do see a potential banana skin. I know they drew 2-2 with Hamilton last night, but they're still top of the league with Kelly slipping up against Ayr, and a Gayfield, no one wants to go there, and especially Hibs, low in confidence, not won this year. So as much as I think both managers on shaky pegs, being how early they are into the 10 years, I think they'll probably be allowed a wee bit of leeway. But for both sides, if you see St Mirren coming into the top 6, if they sides end up in the bottom 6, then serious questions got to be asked in terms of 5-6 games down the line.
Yeah. Coming to yourself, Kobe, do you think either one of the managers, I'm sure you'll be hoping for glasses on the round. Can you see anything over the next few games for both Maloney or Glass?
Well, with Glass, when he first came in, obviously going into this season, I was half accepting that, it won't be an easy season. There'll be ups and downs, and we may finish in the bottom half. Realistically, I wasn't expecting it, but it's one of those things. When Aberdeen fans were saying, "Oh, we'll get relegated," we're probably not gonna. But but then the puff piece the club done with that big long Glass interview, it raised my hopes so much, and I don't think whilst they've kind of have to, I don't think it done him any favors in terms of if you all the sound bites now. If you go back, he said Jack girls surprise people, and it's so ironic going back.
He learned from the best, I think he said as well.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I was at the time when he came in. I'm thinking, all right, he's inexperienced, but if he gets a good number 2, but he never really done that. So it's a tricky one. I think he can. Also, I don't know if my thoughts are maybe clouded by Willie Garner when I spoke to him. He gave me his thoughts. He said it'll take time. So I don't know if that's maybe clouding, but I'd like to hope it does. But I've said. If I said after Livingston on the bus home, I said if we lose Motherwell in the cup, our season's kind of done. But then it's hard looking how tight the league is. But again, it was never going to be easy transforming from a defensive side to whatever Glass wants to play. But sometimes it's been unescapable, and I think a lot of the players are maybe hiding away from a bit of stick that they should be facing, especially against Livingston, because players can do like 2-yard passes, which is simple. And I think that's got to go on them rather than Glass. But ultimately, he's the one that was playing Fune Soldier out wide. In terms of Sean Maloney, I don't know, because I've the only things I've really seen at Hibs since has been the Edinburgh Derby, and they never really looked great. And that I thought Hearts were ultimately the better side in that game. Hibs, Derby's hard to go off of, I feel. So I don't know if that's maybe a good time to give a verdict, but I think if he does lose Arbroath, it'll be hard. I think Hibs, the difference maybe being, I don't know, I might be a bit young. I don't know if Maloney had any ties to Hibs before, but Glass obviously being an Aberdeen player, I think that maybe gives him a bit more time rather than maybe Maloney with Hibs. So I don't know.
Cool, good link there, inadvertently, in terms of talking about Edinburgh Derby. I was more going from managers under pressure to one that social media last night, Hearts social media, a manager was under pressure, Robbie Nielsen, and we've got just over 20 minutes left, and I'll try not to go on a rant here regarding Hearts, but finished Hearts 1, Dundee 2. Hearts took the lead in the first half through Ellis Sims, and we could see the goalkeeping from standing goalkeeper Ian Lawler, who has replaced Legstons. he could have shut his legs or could have had a better footing. Lawler could have, in terms of his went through him. Wasn't very, very great for him. Hearts had chances in the first half as well. Barry Mackay seemed to be the main outlet going for it. Hearts could have, finished 2-3-0 at half time, but then second half, Hearts are very much probably the epitome this season of a 45-minute team, as in the second half, it just never came out. And what happened was obviously there was a goal, but we'll talk about the opener then. I don't know in terms of either one of yourselves have seen the goal or much of the first half from Sports Scene. Robin, did you see the build up?
Yeah, I'll go. Well, what I've seen of it is what Hearts fans should expect from Mackay, but I don't know if you see it enough. That direct running through the middle, linked up with Sims, that's his second goal since he joined from Everton, and maybe the goalkeeper could have done better. It's at his near post, but I think he done well to slot it past the goalkeeper, and it was a good link-up play. That's what you want from your centre attacking mid or like second striker, to link up that way. So I thought it was a good type of score. And when Hearts, you're at home, Tynecastle, a tough place for teams to go to. You're getting the opener. You want to build on that, and I know we'll speak about what happened from there, but it must have been, he was at the gate. It must be so frustrating to not do anything with that, like when you get yourself a foot in front.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just the momentum. I think we've seen with Celtic, and obviously we've got a lot of Celtic viewership as well, that when the chips are when the momentum's on your favour, when you've got the first in, as you say, Celtic scored their second goal a few minutes later, and it's just that kind of be relentless, be clinical. Peter Haran put another ball in for Barry Mackay and almost doubled the lead, but it was kind of cleared off the line by Sweeney, I think it was, the centre half. And then, as I said, there was kind of 1-2s with kind of Barry Mackay as well, had the shot towards the end, and that's when got lamped by Charlie Adam after the ball, and then kind of tried to walk over him. Charlie Adam, you should be used to walking anyway after almost losing your driving licence, young man. I say young man, he's old enough to know better. But absolute thug. Not a fan. And I know Neil the Punk has said Adams, what a thug, should have been off, and I agree. But you forget where he started his career as well. But yeah, you were right in terms of that. It's really, really frustrating. Graham has put, obviously, one of our usual Thursday night panelists not able to attend tonight, not feeling well. Hope you're feeling better soon, Graham. But he said Hearts, as usual, were far too slow in the build-up, far too many sideways and backwards passing. First half, we did have chances, but that second half was awful. And as for the defending, Moore at the second is woeful. We'll get on the second half at the second, but I think first half, what I would say is, in terms of manager, Robbie Nielsen, the only criticism you could say is probably the front three, because you have got Barry Mackay, you've got Boyce, and you have got Sims there. I think Boyce can't be playing as a right winger or playing, centrally. It just doesn't work. Barry Mackay very much like drifting in from wide or drifting out, so he's almost like I say old school tactic, a 4-4-1-1. He'd be that sort of your number two, your Scott Allen. He can drift where he wants to play. But then that Hearts were better when they were wide. Big first half of the season. So it's really, really poor that he's changed that. And I think if you're going to drop a player, it has to be Boyce if you're going to accommodate him up top. But to be fair, I know we've got Dave, who is a regular on the beat at Dundee, and will probably want me to kind of talk up Dundee. I will, because McPake obviously has got the players fired up for the second half. And then, as I said, the first goal comes down in the right-hand side, and it's a cross. I think it is from Paul McMullen, I think it is. And then it goes as an own goal as Simic. Quite unfortunate, again, but it just shows you the sort of freedom that the Dundee players had on that right-hand side, down Hearts left in the second half. Robbie Nielsen then made a change, took off Andy Halliday, and I never thought I'd be saying this in February 2022, but when he took off Halliday and changed the shape, it made it worse. We needed Halliday on. I can't believe it myself. And then Yeah, and then it was Neil McGinn was on at this point, and with the assist down the right. I mean, I don't know if you've seen this goal. I mean, I know Graham's really happy with Moore, but Kobe, did you see the goal at all? The Dundee winner.
Yeah, it was poor defending. Was it the boy Moore? I think he never. It was kind of like the goal we were talking about. I think last time I was on with the Dundee United Ross County with the big defender. I can't remember his name for Ross County.
Drysdale.
Yeah, Drysdale. And he never really got up for it. It was kind of the same thing. The defender, we were kind of let Mullen. Was it Mullen that scored? Kind of bully him a bit and get up when he won that head. And I think I heard someone, I can't remember who it was in sports, and say he liked a game against his last season, so in the championship. So obviously he's continued that, and it was very poor defending. He got caught the wrong side of him for starters, and that stage of the game when you're kind of 1-1 as the favourites, you're needing to go out and get that winner, and to be caught out like that, it was very poor defending. I would agree.
Yeah. Graham has put in again. Mayor looks over his shoulder and can see Mullen doesn't react, and I think it is that. It's almost the Ronaldinho no look that Moore's doing. The whole but actually he's supposed to run in and try to defend them. Sorry, Robbie.
No, in my opinion, I think for Danny, face Danny Mullen, he wanted it more. In that, at the end of the day, that's what you want from a striker. He's repaying James McPake's faith as such, because at the start of the season, Dundee had Killian Sheridan, Lee Griffiths, who's now at Falkirk, and Jason Cummings, who's in Australia, and Danny Mullen. And I didn't think Mullen would be first choice, and
Jakubiak as well. Jakubiak was kind of fancied before Mullen as well.
Yeah, and they've shown faith in Mullen, and then it was poor defending, and if I was a Hearts fan, I wouldn't be too pleased at all. But he needs to be in the box to score that, and he did. But from a Hearts point of view, that's the 78th minute they score that. What turned out to be the winner, but surely you're at home. You must be thinking there's still time to get back in this match, especially given Dundee's form of recent time.
Yeah, 9 games without a win, struggling to play. Your manager under pressure. Talk of a sacking. There's a emergency EGM for the board to meet and discuss his future. He's partly fell out with the players. Come to Tynecastle, play Hearts. We'll look after you. Really poor from Hearts, and I think probably where Nielsen is getting his most criticism is the subs and the personnel he brought on. Graham's kind of says it there as well in terms of Barry Mackay going off, our most creative player. I think the tactic's been found out by a lot of teams. I think Celtic, obviously Hibs, and Rangers last week as well, that stop Barry Mackay, because that's what Nielsen needs to be doing. If you stop Mackay, you stop the creative supply for Hearts. And it was, first half he kind of had a bit of joy. Second half, I think they caught on to him. I think obviously Sean Byrne came onto a game as well against them. I think he had his number, tracking back as well. So it was poor. I think when Max Anderson came on, he gave him a lot of energy in the middle. But when you look at Hearts, they brought on Josh Ginnelly for Halliday, and Josh Ginnelly, as fast as he is, he's the slowest guy with football I've ever seen in my life, because he just doesn't know where to take it. They've then got Ben Woodburn, who's living off a goal as a 16-year-old for Liverpool, and you can see why he's been shipped around different clubs on loan and English leagues, kind of falling down the pecking order. I know he had a kind of COVID, he's had injury last season. I think he collapsed at the Memorial Day in November, and then you've got Gary Mackay-Steven, who you guys have seen at Aberdeen. I thought his main asset in the past was his pace and trickery. He's not got that. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, God, we've got attackers here, and you look at those 3 are attackers. You add in Boyce, that's 4 out of 6 Hearts-main attackers that are not on form. You've got Sims, who's just coming into Hearts and just kind of making his way, and you've got Barry Mackay, who, by his own standards this season, is tailing off. So arguably 5 players for Hearts attacking wise out of form. So
typical, is it?
Yeah, it's poor. I think that's difficult. But in terms of Hearts, it's they talked around Maloney and Stephen Glasser in a must-win game. I do feel Hearts, Livingston at home in the Scottish Cup. Listen, Hearts have to win. And if Nielsen doesn't win, I think Graham Duthie will be flying playing himself with that banner, Nielsen out.
Yeah, I think it is in a similar sense. I know you mentioned there, he's not winning. Is it 9? I thought it was. I didn't actually realize it was that bad, but I thought you had kind of a gap between. I think it was kind of fourth and the rest, but I thought Hearts, they had like 11-point cushion on us anyway when I was looking. But I don't know if I should be looking up that far yet. But yeah, but it does seem a similar situation to the one we were in before. When we haven't won in 9, but previously, it was going quite well. In Europe, we were doing all right. And then apart from you have the attackers, I know they might not be in form, but that's kind of where we're struggling. But I think as you mentioned, the cup, it's kind of a big week for a lot of managers. Now Glasso, who's going to Motherwell, he will not be enjoying that if we lose, especially the walk back up this Thursday. Well, he will not be enjoying that if we don't get a result. Obviously you said Robbie Nielsen there. Sean Maloney are both, it's a big week for a lot of managers here, potentially, under a bit of pressure facing the sack.
Can I just chip in with quite a funny one today, speaking about managers from the Scottish Cup this weekend? Obviously, Rangers play down in Dumfries and Galloway against Annan on Saturday night, and Annan's manager told BBC Radio Cumbria today that it would be basically an embarrassment for Rangers if they don't win by 5 or more. And what sort of faith do you give that to your players? You're saying, we don't expect the cup upset. It'd be embarrassment for them to dash us. So at least he knows he's not under any pressure.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking for a minute. Imagine Aberdeen, Hibs, and Hearts all lose their manager at the same time. Aberdeen, Hibs will definitely be going in for the same. You just know they'll be going for the same manager or something.
Jack Ross.
Yeah.
Alex Neil,
who's going to become Sunderland manager.
Yeah, he's linked with Sunderland. So yeah, we'll all be going for the same manager, and obviously Hibs and Aberdeen with their recent history with signings, it'll almost be poetry if we beat them.
Robbie, is that you taking Dave's place and giving a State Scottish Football exclusive saying Alex Neil's about to become Sunderland manager? I didn't know that. Hot off the press, are you letting the cat in the bag of that one?
No, I think I did see something like last period today, because Roy Keane turned it down, I think. So I don't know if you've just let one slip there, because I think I did hear it earlier.
I think that's been out in the fair.
Yeah, I think it is.
Is that you use the contact, letting us mere minions at work 9 to 5 jobs what goes on in terms of the football gossip columns in the papers. But I've realised in the time we're going to have to do a whistle stop through the other three games, and it's not by intention. We're having good football chat. We'll respond to your comments as well. But we will take a trip up to Tannadice, Dundee United 2, Motherwell 0, where it seemed to be, for this point, I was asleep on sports scene. By this point, a good win for Dundee United. And come to you, Kobe. Did you see much of it?
Yeah, Dylan Levitt with the first goal. It was a really good goal, and there was no chance Liam Kelly saves it. And Motherwell going away from home. Obviously, Tony Watt done well. I'll come on in a minute, but go away from home to Dundee United, who I don't think they were. I'm going in what's their form? I can't really remember what their form is like. I can't remember it was any good going into the game. So,
they had won the last 3 prior to that.
No. So Motherwell anyway, without Watt, they've struggled 4 goals. I can't remember the last time they've won a game. Obviously, coming off the Celtic game, it was, in my opinion, it was important that they won this game. No matter if it's Dundee United, who they're kind of in a similar situation. And again, Robbie, it's only good for us in the end that these teams around us are also dropping points. But it's also great for us going into Saturday with a bit more hope. Obviously, Kevin Van Veen, you talked about him earlier on in the stream, who will be facing up against. But no, the game, I thought Dundee United done really well. As I said, it was a good goal, and they've kind of just continued where they've left off. Tony Watt, getting that other goal, and it was a real poacher's finish from Watt. We've seen it so far this season with 11 goals he's got now in the league. Yeah,
Yep.
he did enjoy it. I seen he put something out on Twitter saying, "Oh, I wasn't going to celebrate. I was getting sick." Yeah, I know you meant that. You meant that lot. So there's no backing out of that now. You double down. You can't. You got to double down now. Back down or double down. So yeah.
Robbie, what was your take on that? A good win for Dundee United after their kind of because both teams were kind of going in with poor form. Motherwell obviously haven't had won their previous had won a game in 2022 as well, and then with Dundee United. So I kind of think I said last night it would be a draw, but good win though for Tam Kurtz.
Yeah, I better not let slip any more stuff from Michael Bargoed about what Tony Watt did say about the whole Burrows situation. I didn't like that. I thought we didn't like that, but it's passion in football. Alan Burrows, the Motherwell CEO, and Tony Watt had a bit of a spat when Watt scored against his former club. But I think the Kiston made up afterwards. That's all I can say. But I think in terms of Watt scoring, that was his first goal for Dundee United. For it to be against his former club, it was kind of just written in the stars. But even as Kobe says, Dylan Laverick's goal was really impressive. And it's funny, none of these teams around that from third, you could even include Hearts in more recent times. The whole league's so unpredictable because anyone can beat anyone. And 1 minute, these teams are showing some form, playing really well. Like Nickerson does brilliant with his run to set up Watt for that goal. So players like him, I don't know why he doesn't start more often for Dundee United.
You mentioned there quickly. You mentioned the league's so tight, but it just shows with St Mirren. I will probably talk about them quickly in a minute, but they were doing. I don't think they were doing that great not too long ago. They were going in a similar run to Aberdeen when we played them and beat them. Was it 3-4-1? So now look at them. They've catapulted themselves right back up there and potentially going to be a sticky one for us now with another contender for top six. Obviously, they've spoken in previous years about wanting to be a top six regular. So, I mean, it's not going to make it any easier for us.
Good link. Kobe, you're right. St Mirren have picked up the win last night, 2-1 against St Johnstone. That's 13 points from the last 15 after goals from Ronan and Grieve after an earlier penalty from Hendry. Again, the penalty gift was used last night, twice last night, because obviously Ronan scored from the spot. But again, in terms of Jim Goodwin, the kind of getting his players to continues running form. How impressed have you been with St Mirren's upturn in form, Robbie?
Yeah, well, St Mirren, they've only lost, the third least games behind Celtic and Rangers. St Mirren are tied with Hearts on the losses, only 7. And I think they're draw specialists by 11, but the upturn in form, especially since the winter break's been fantastic. But I always said Jim Goodwin would be a good manager, and he has them well organised, and he's got Conor Ronan fighting, whether that be from the spot or chipping in with goals, from normal play. So I think St Mirren, they're up to 6th in the league now, 1 point ahead of Hibs, and they've got a game in hand as well. So win that, and they could be in a European spot. And the buddies have got to dream. You just never know.
Yeah. Kobe, did you see much of the game from Sports Scene last night?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I saw also what was shown on Sports Scene, but the penalties decisions. I don't know if you want to talk about that. I'd say the one where he's pulling his shirt. I thought it was soft. I don't know. I know he's pulling his shirt, so then he's he kind of says it all. But he went down obviously, and there's contact, and fair enough. But the retake from Callum Hendry, was the ball? Was it the same thing that happened with Lewis Ferguson against Rangers? The ball blown off.
Yeah, the ball was moved.
Again, I dare say a few Rangers fans won't be pleased with that. But no, then the penalty that was given against James Jamie McCart? Yeah. With a handball. So for me, I don't know how that can be a handball. I don't know what your takes are, but I don't know where's he meant to put his hands.
I mean, at this point, I was in the land disease, dreaming that your rap battle against O'Donoghue. So I missed this one. Robbie, did you catch that? What was your take on the penalties? Did you see them?
I'll admit as well. I was away in the land of Zeds. By the time the final 2 games, I seen Callum Hendry because he used to play for Aberdeen. I was intrigued because Callum Davidson recalled him from Kilmarnock in January, so I was interested to see how he'd do, and obviously I had to retake the pen. Scored them both, but in terms of St Johnstone, you thought they had turned the corner in a sense, and then now the poor result to lose for them, and with Dundee winning, that's a big concern overall for Callum Davidson and the Perth Saints.
Good. We've got one game that we'll try and sum up in a minute. It's Ross County 1, Livingston 1. Alan Forrest, or as Regan, regular on the show, calls him, James Forrest's wee brother. He scored the opener for Livingston before on loan Ross County man, on loan at Ross County, Kane Ramsey scored the equaliser for Ross County. As a game, I thought there could have been goals in it, because given Ross County are the league's third highest goal scorers. But quickly coming to you, Robbie, in terms of the result, where does that leave both sides moving forward?
Well, Ross County, they've got that 6-point gap now between them and Dundee. So I think Ross County, they've been consolidating pretty well under Malky Mackay in recent weeks. And for once, it wasn't Regan Charles-Cook picking up for a goal, but I thought they probably would take that point.
Yeah. And lastly, coming to yourself, Kobe, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think it's a point probably both take. It's the strength from an Aberdeen point of view, seeing Livingston obviously go out and then draw that game, but again they're probably knackered. You know, they'll be glad they've obviously not lost the game, obviously, because ultimately, no matter the form they are in right now, you know they're in good form. They'll probably be down there with Ross County, I'd say, come the end of the season. So it is a decent player on both sides. But Alan Forrest, again, continuing his form. I saw something about, I don't know if Hibs wanted him, and he went to Martindale and said, I don't want to leave. I don't know if it was Hibs or another club, but yeah, again.
St Johnstone, I think, will like him.
Yeah, probably a decent point for both sides, I'd say.
Yeah, does a favour for them both, and you have both done me a massive favour by keeping the chat good and sparing me from my embarrassment from not having seen some of the games. But that's all we've got time for tonight. So thank you for tuning in. As always, please like, subscribe, share, get your pals watching it as well. And tomorrow, I think it's Colin that's on. We'll give you the preview show of the Scottish Cup. So stay safe. Enjoy your Thursday night.